The idea for this video came to me from a comment that someone left on one of my videos asking about the different characteristics of the different types of needles and different things that needles can be made out of. So first we're going to talk about the different materials used in making needles. And we'll start with the stickiest and we'll go to the most slipperiest. The first one are aluminum needles, and these are what you'll find mostly at craft stores that carry a lot of different stuff. The real knitting stores or yarn stores don't usually carry these. They're really inexpensive, they're pretty lightweight, they're not the greatest for knitting with, really. I think they're pretty, and so I keep them in a jar in my office, but I never ever knit with them. They really don't have a smooth enough finish when you're knitting with them. They kind of stick unpleasantly to the yarn. So these are aluminum needles. I would call these the stickiest kind of needles you can knit with. Next up, I have here a set of acrylic needles. And there are very, very nice acrylic needles out there. They're a little bit stickier than anything else, but the stickiness in them can be good if you're worried about dropping stitches. The more slippery you get, the faster you can knit, but you do run the risk of your stitches just falling off the end of the needle. These are a set of double-pointed needles I actually really like working with. Next up on the sticky line would be wood needles, wood or bamboo. And this is what I really recommend for beginning knitters, especially if you're using double-pointed needles. These are a perfect combination of holding onto the stitches pretty well, but letting you move through without having to really shove things along because they're not that sticky. And then the slickest needles out there are nickel-plated brass. And these happen to be Addi turbos, and these are the fastest needles. They're called turbos, of course. These are the fastest needles, not only because the needle part is really slick, but the shape of the tip actually, I think, contributes to the speed that you can use these. So those are the different materials going from stickiest to the slickest. And I would say you usually find more confident knitters happy to use the nickel-plated brass because they're not worried about stitches jumping off the end of the needles. Now let's talk about the different shapes that needles come in. When you started knitting, you probably used these. They're called straights. They come in all different lengths, but they have stoppers at the end, and they're perfect for knitting scarves like this. And they're limited because you can really only knit flat pieces with straight needles like this. Next up, when you start wanting to knit in different shapes, you'll want to use double-pointed needles. And these come in sets of 4 or 5, and they allow you, by using 3 or more of them, they allow you to knit a tiny tube. It just so happens that these are bamboo double-pointed needles, and I love these. Double-pointed needles, when you have all the different needles going, sometimes the needle that's hanging there that you're not working with will try to slide out of your work if it's heavy or if it's really slick. I really like bamboo double-pointed needles. They're my favorite. The last shape of needle that you'll see are the circular needles. And these come in all different cord lengths for knitting tubes or for just knitting straight back and forth. You'll want to pick a cord length that works with the size tube that you're knitting, and usually your pattern will tell you what you need. I tell you that I use circular needles for all knitting. I use them for knitting scarves, flat things, sweater pieces, everything. And the reason for that is when you're knitting with straight needles like this and the work starts to get heavy, it causes more stress on your wrist if the weight is hanging out here at the end of the needles. And when you're using circular needles, as the work gets heavier and heavier, it's just sitting in your lap. The stress isn't so much on your wrist, which means you can just keep knitting and knitting all day without it hurting, which is everyone's goal, right? The last thing I want to show you is this here. This is needles and cord from an interchangeable set. And I've shown these in videos before. What you get is you buy a box of tips like this, and you get the different lengths of cord that you need. Usually you get 24, 32, and 40. They don't make the 16-inch. You have to buy those fixed and separately. But you get all the tips and you get the cords, and they just snap together like this. And then you know when you want to start knitting something that you know that you have the needles at home for it. All you need to do is buy the yarn because you have the whole set of everything there. It's hard to convince a new knitter to invest the money in a set like this, but I'll tell you, you end up saving so much money in the end. You have hundreds and hundreds of dollars worth of needles, and you usually end up paying somewhere between $75 and $150 for the complete set of needles. And there are really high quality ones out there. These are the nickel-plated brass, but I know that interchangeable sets also come in wood and acrylic. So what I recommend is getting yourself each one of these. Well, skip the aluminum, right? Get yourself wood, bamboo, acrylic, and the metal needles like this. Try them out, see what you like the best, and then you'll have your favorite. And then I recommend investing in one of these interchangeable sets. But if you're like me, you'll want to use different things for different projects, like bamboo for double pointed needles and the metal for circular needles. Anyway, give them a try and see what you like best.